You did mention bone mineral density early on in the conversation, and I want to pivot to that. This being the other factor that a lot of people are worried about as they age, maintaining that and avoiding things like osteopenia, osteoporosis. When it comes to that specific avenue, how do you look at things differently than we've been talking? Or does that just fit into the resistance training, the diet, everything we've been talking about till this point?
Well, there's a couple things you have to look at here for this one. And, again, if you fix your muscle mass, you won't likely have an issue with osteoporosis or osteopenia because bone mineral density is a lagging indicator, right? It's the first thing you'll see is poor muscle mass. If you fix that, you'll tend to fix the osteoporosis, and you can reverse this. I wish that we had DEXA scans happening. Like in the perfect world, we would do the first DEXA scan for someone in their teens because that's when you really want to be focusing on laying down that bone. Here's a couple things that we know. Number one, resistance training is really important for bone mineral density, and specifically things that load your spine and your hips. So this is where a squat's fantastic. This is where a standing overhead press is fantastic. Things that just load the spine, load the hips. They'll talk about walking for bone mineral density. Not unless you're wearing a rucking vest, which I think is one of the greatest things ever, rucking vests. So a couple days a week of a rucking vest, or even just starting to wear a rucking vest around the house can be a great thing. But really push heavy weights over your head, right? And squat. Now, the other things that are really important is not being catabolic. It's having good acid alkaline balance. So what does that mean? Eat plants with your animals, right? Because if you're eating animals, they're more acidic. If you eat plants, they're more alkaline. Put that together. Eat plants with your animals. Fish oil is great for bone remodeling. Vitamin D with K is you got to have. I find, I'm trying to think if I've ever seen anyone's vitamin D normal without supplementation. And I really can't think that I have. And I think that's one, because we stay out of the sun, we use sunscreen. So do a vitamin D test. It's a 25 hydroxy vitamin D. Make sure you take vitamin D with K. Optimize your vitamin D to 50 to 80 NGs per ml. I'm excited. We're actually getting a vitamin D light machine for the house that we are going to play around with next. So we'll see how that goes. And then estrogen, super important. Estrogen and progesterone, right? So they'll work together to help with bone remodeling. So that is another mission critical one. And creatine creatine showing some potential benefits as well for bone mineral density. So the good news is the things that help your muscles help your bones. But with a little bit more focus too on really optimizing vitamin D, optimizing acid alkaline balance as well.
You didn't mention calcium supplements, and this is one of those ones that's super controversial.
Mm-hmm.
And conventional medicine, I feel, still leans heavily on using that to help women as they age. How do you feel about that?
So I'll tell you where I use calcium supplements. I really love doing electrolytes, especially since I'm a big sauna fan. I think most of us would do well to do an electrolyte 1 or 2 times a day and get it that way. I'm kind of more keen on magnesium. If you are not dairy intolerant, getting in some Greek style yogurt or whey protein, but I don't think that's the big issue. I think the big issue is really more vitamin D deficiency, resistance training. I don't know, not as big of a fan of that, although likely it's if you're doing your vitamin D with K and you're taking a little calcium. I know there's concern with calcium causing, some plaque buildup, but I think that really has to do with more of your vitamin K situation. But I don't tend to recommend calcium. I'd rather see you get some, eat wild fish a couple days a week, maybe eat some bony fish, eat some sardines. I wish I could say I did that, but I don't. And if you're not dairy intolerant, doing some Greek style yogurt, but I think we can accomplish this with some electrolytes.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch a full episode. I'll see you over there.
This idea that you cannot build muscle as you age is absolutely ridiculous and wrong. And I actually am stronger and more powerful at 61 than I was at 25. I am in better shape now than I was then.